back to the Sovereign Society podcast. And let me just say how excited I am to be using this platform to talk more about business development and systems and marketing and, of course, sovereign embodiment. But the biggest thing that I really wanted to come on with this episode about is that there's not much time left in 2022. If you're listening to this, watching this, here with me when this episode comes out, we only have 6 weeks left of the year. And I just know that a huge part of what I want to share with you in this episode, talking about the truths they don't tell you when building a business, I really just want you to make the most of the rest of this year and really get your feet in the water now so that when the time 2023 comes about, you're feeling ready to go. I know for me personally, this is a huge thing that I've been working through, rebranding my business as I'm focusing more on systems to support mental health and well-being. This is why I've shifted my whole business and brand to talk about more about systems, and I'm going to be creating more YouTube videos about that. So if you aren't subscribed to my YouTube channel, just go to youtube.com/Sabrina Riccio and make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to be offering so many more tutorials and support to help you with your systems and automations so that you can not only create smarter and not harder, but that you can cultivate more balance. And this is a huge piece that I want to talk about in this episode, because I can tell you from experience, after I got sick and from burnout, I feel like I had to go through that experience so that I can learn a really important lesson about balancing my work life, cultivating boundaries, but just overall respecting my energy. And I had to learn that for myself so that then I can share and teach my wisdom and create content like this episode. But this is the time for us to recognize that online business is only growing. We saw the growth happen with the pandemic, and more and more people are recognizing they can work from home, they can create content that is and create a business and do work that is in alignment with their truth and what lights them up, which is amazing, and their gifts. And with that, I think there's going to be a lot more of the importance of a niche, meaning not necessarily like putting yourself in a box, but just what are people coming to you for? Like, I want people to come to me to, if they need help developing their systems, I got you covered. This is why I'm having my new service, Soulful Systems, where I'm going to be setting up people's ClickUp templates and automations, plus, or I should say, their Dubsado for client onboarding and client management. And these are two tools that I think are really important to have developed and ready to go. So if you're interested, you can send me an email by, in the description below. You can send me a DM over on Instagram at Sabrina Riccio, or check the show notes for more information. But again, I want you to make the most of your business, because the biggest thing that I learned that they don't tell you when building your business is that your business is an extension of you. You are not an extension of your business. Like, you need to be on like the platform more so than your business, because if you're not taking care of yourself and your health and your well-being, your business isn't going to succeed. It's a hard truth to admit, but you are what the business is supporting, right? Like, you are here to share your wisdom and your gifts and your energy. And if you aren't doing that for yourself, how do you expect other people to respect that and your clients? And again, I've shared this in a reel weeks ago, but if you don't have an amazing relationship with yourself, you're not going to have an amazing relationship with your clients. And I think that's a big, important piece to really talk about and to really honor and to accept. And I think that's my prayer for you. If you're not taking the time to take care of your health and well-being and cultivate those boundaries and to really know when to say no and to respect your honor and your worth. That's why I have programs like Thrive. It's like you need to become willing to do the work to reclaim your power back so that you honor your worth and your value, and you have a boundary, and you can be discerning on the people that either respect you or don't, and knowing that you don't deserve less than that. And I think that's a big piece that I really want to share, because I had to learn that the hard way, especially as someone who grew up with a lot of childhood trauma and a lot of low self-worth. And by the grace of God, I'm in therapy. That's been really helping me. And I've had to learn over the years, just from my own personal development and spiritual journey and spiritual quest, that these were the things that I knew I wanted to work on. These were the things that I knew were important for me to come into wholeness with myself, so that I wouldn't be codependent on my audience, my clients, someone else, but just would be able to cultivate that within myself. And again, so not needing that 3D validation to honor my worth. And I think this is like the big piece I really want to talk about. You've been hearing me talk more and more throughout the weeks about the law of assumption. And this is a big piece that I want to be sharing more about, because I think this is a universal law that isn't talked about enough. And I do believe that this is a universal law that is stronger than the law of attraction, because it all comes down to your beliefs. If you don't believe you're worthy, if you're allowing this belief that has you doubting yourself or an insecurity, if that's your dominant thought, that's what you're going to believe. And even today, when I was walking on my walk and I was just feeling into, all right, I'm here, I'm going to, kick ass. I'm focusing on this new place with my business and calling in new clients and building up my team and taking that leap of faith outside of my comfort zone of wearing all the hats, which is another big piece, is like you can only wear those hats, all the hats, for so long, if at all. Especially when you're starting, yes, but like you're going to need to be willing to ask for help. And it's great to invest in pieces like that you can, ask for help for someone that either has that as their zone of genius or what you're looking for, like a template or support from someone who's a couple steps ahead of you that you can learn from and that can help you, and invest in their knowledge and their wisdom and their time and their energy. And make sure when you're investing in these people or these products, you're not doing it from a place of scarcity. Because I can tell you, I spent tens of thousands of dollars investing in programs from a space of scarcity. And I don't want to say necessarily it was a waste of money, but like I could have spent my money better in other places, because there was a reason why I made those investments. So I would just say, like, if you find yourself made like an investment that you regret or could have done better, see that as a mistake that was actually teaching you a lesson, so in the future. I think the biggest thing is to not beat yourself up, because there will be highs and lows and ebbs and flows, and you're going to make mistakes. And so if you're someone who's really hard on yourself, or if you're a perfectionist, like those mistakes are inevitable, and you need to be more gentle with yourself and just more compassionate with yourself, because you're doing your best based on your level of awareness. And sometimes, like I said, especially if we don't have that awareness because we haven't had the experience yet, we can make not so great investments, and when that money could go other ways. Like I spent tens of thousands of dollars in coaching programs when I should have spent that money more so on a one-on-one mentor that could have helped me out and be more personalized, and really feel seen and heard. But it is what it is. You can't change the past. But I know for me, I'm investing more of my money in support, by building up my team, or I'm investing my money in experiences that are either templates or things that I can learn about, from that I actually need, like more specific, which is why I also think a niche in that sense. If you're creating like a product, like focus on like a specific piece, like for instance, like an email marketing funnel and how to do that. And even if it's not like a very high price thing like it normally would, because I do think there's going to be a lot of shifts in courses, especially since memberships are growing. And this is my share of like marketing advice, because this is something that I did go to school for. I'm grateful that my social media professor 11 years later still has me come in and teach. So I teach at university levels about social media. And so these are the things that I want to be sharing more about with you on this podcast. Just because like these are things that I'm actually interested in. And again, I want you to learn from my mistakes and from my experiences. They don't always have to be so negative of the things. Like I want you to learn from my wins as well. But I would just say like really be intentional with the content you're creating. And if you want to start treating your business like a business and not a hobby, it's smart to have a plan of action and a strategy. And this is something that I'm excited to be helping and honing in more with my one-on-one clients. And I'm offering a new package called Brand Ascension, where you're going to get 2 one-on-one calls with me, so 2 a month. And in between, you'll have up to an hour of Voxer support with me, where you can ask a question or get feedback based off of what we took from the first call. So if you want to learn more about that, you can go to sabrinariccio.com/brand-ascension, or again, you can look in the show notes or the description below if you're watching this on YouTube. But I just want to create and help people come up with better marketing and business strategies. Because again, like the biggest thing that I learned from business is that I burnt myself out because I was overworking, because I wore all the hats and I didn't believe in myself, and I had a really hard time investing in myself because I doubted myself and was scared to make that leap. But, here I am today coming back into the flow, and I'm making big investments in my business to invest in people that can help me out so that I can stop wearing all the hats and can also focus in other areas that are not a waste of my time and energy, because like that's all part of it, but like it's better for me to delegate. And so I'm excited so that you can create more space to focus in on your zone of genius and can really hone in on what you're here to create for your community and your audience, which I think is a huge piece. Plus also getting help allows you to have more time for yourself, to be more present with your families, with your loved ones. And this is the thing that I think we need to hone in more about, because we grew up in such a society of like overworking, and because it was such a huge society of like materialism equated to worth and value and prosperity, when prosperity is defined by the individual. I think what we have to really recognize is that you get to define your wealth. It can be from like lots of material things, great, if that's what you define as wealth. Wealth can be a wealth of time. Wealth can be amazing group of friends that you meet every week. Everyone has their own definition of what wealth looks like. And I think the piece that we need to really embrace and honor is that your wealth in business doesn't necessarily have to mean the amount of money in your bank account. It can mean the wealth of what you get to deliver and be of service to and support and experience, right? And I think that's another big piece that we don't really talk about with business, is that you get to define what success looks like. And it's not what I tell you success looks like. It's not what some other influencer tells you what success looks like, or whatever that you're comparing yourself to. You get to define what success looks like. And that's the key piece right there. The other piece that I think is really important to speak up about is that as you evolve, so too will your brand. And this is the big piece that I'm accepted, is like when I first started, I was doing so much about Kundalini yoga. And honestly, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I was just going with it, but I had to learn from that experience, right? Like me getting sick was because I didn't have like a really clear sense of direction for so long. And I was just, just constantly creating with like my head cut off, which is why I know for me, the rest of 2022, I'm really taking the time to hone in on my strategy for the upcoming year. The only thing that I'm really focusing on creating right now for 2022 are podcast episodes, because I miss this. And when I create, I'm just like this divine channel. Like, for instance, everything before this episode, I didn't have notes about up to this very moment. I'm just choosing to speak from my heart and from my experience. But because of what I created, I can go back and listen and create content that can support me. But that's been part of my journey, right? I've evolved and I've learned from those mistakes. And I think there's a piece to that. And so as I've evolved from my mistakes and my wins and trial and error and burnout and crying in a pillow and all the things, I've learned from that, and I know what to take with me and what not to take. And that's like with every area of life. But your brand will evolve. Your content will evolve. And it's up to you to create content that actually feels in alignment and that nourishes you, that's exciting to create. If you're finding yourself creating content that isn't exciting to create, what are you doing? Don't do it just because you quote unquote have to do it. Do it because you want to do it. Do it because it inspires you. Because if you are in a space of inspiration, your audience is going to feel that, and that's going to inspire them too. But if you're creating something because you feel like you have to do it, they're going to feel that, and it's not a great feeling. It's all energy. So you need to make sure that like what you're delivering feels in alignment. It feels good. It feels inspiring. And if you're like writing down a whole bunch of ideas that are coming through, but like you still haven't acted on them, I encourage you to like look back and see if it still resonates and if it's still in alignment. Because the key here is to recognize that embodiment is about you aligning. This sovereign embodiment is about you aligning, or your emotions and your thoughts finding each other in a space of alignment. And your sovereignty is your free will. This is how you're choosing to operate, to live. Like, this is your sense of freedom. You're not in a space of freedom in your business if you are not inspired or in alignment and your thoughts and your emotions aren't feeling expansive. Then you're enslaved to the machine. I've talked about this before. You cannot be creating stuff that feels expansive and if it's not something you want to do. Like, we do things that feel expansive, or we follow through on things that feel expansive because it's coming from a space of intuition. So we need to trust our intuition, trust our gut, and be comfortable with saying no as well. And with that, I think the biggest piece, like I shared before, like if you're having these ideas that are coming through from a space of inspiration, and you want to plan ahead, you need to plan ahead, because otherwise the burnout is inevitable if you don't bulk out your content. So if you're like in the flow, like I would say, especially as like a woman, like I'm ovulating right now. So this is like, I have the energy to create. I'm going to create as much as I can to like prep me for a couple weeks ahead that feel in alignment. But for me to prep or to create in those weeks ahead, I have to know what I'm creating. So if I can have like a blueprint or like bullet points of what I'm creating and then be in that flow, I can sit here and record like 3 podcast episodes in one day, and I have 3 weeks worth of podcasts done. Of course, I still would have to send it to my editor and then work with my VA who can make graphics and then upload it as the week comes and schedule it. But if I'm doing the bulk, like the heavy piece of filming it, if I can do that in the 3 weeks and I'm staying in that momentum, that's going to allow me to plan ahead and to honor my energy better. Because if you're otherwise creating content like the day that it's due or like the week that it's due, and you keep doing that over and over and over and over again, the burnout's inevitable. And I've been there. That's what got me sick. And that's why I have templates in my upcoming CEO calendar that will have, you can just literally plug in, say, okay, I'm recording a podcast episode. Here's the breakdown. And you just would have a checklist ready to go. This is why I wanted to create systems. I can't express this enough for you guys, because I want you to have templates that will help you save time and energy, because our time is fleeting. Yes, it's something we create, but we don't, it's something we can't get back. And I want you to make the most of your time, and I want you to honor your energy, and I want you to respect your energy, which is why I'm so devoted to be talking more about systems and programs that can support you. And that's what a lot of my tutorials are going to be on YouTube. I'm here to help you create smarter and not harder. Plain and simple. I want you to make the most of your life. I want you to make the most of how you honor your time. I want you to honor your energy, and I want you to make the most of your life. That's everything. If my mantra here is honor the journey, trust the process, the mistakes that I made along the journey, like there's been a purpose to it, right? And I honor it. I don't feel a victim to like the past, because then I'm giving away my power and I'm not in my power. But you have to make sure that you are recognizing that there's a reason for everything, and somehow, some way, all of this is unfolding for your favor. The other piece that I want to say, talking about why I'm here for you, for instance, is you need to hone in on what I call the soul babe client. So it's someone who you meet eye to eye with, and focus on the solutions. Not so much the pain points. I want you to focus on the solutions. So what the A to B? Yes, be aware of where they're at, where they're stuck, where their problem is, but don't dwell on that. I want you to start painting a picture of what your product or what your service or what your course, whatever, is going, like paint the picture of where it's taking them. Not only the journey it's taking them on, but where is the destination that they're finding themselves at, right? If we don't know that, if we don't know like how our product, our service is here to help them feel, help them experience, what are you delivering, right? Like you need to focus more on the expansive pieces and not dwelling on the victimized piece. We've been taught so much like focus on their pain points. Let's not focus on their pain points. Let's be aware of their pain points, but paint the bigger picture of the solution. You painting that picture of the solution allows them to take the leap out of their comfort zone of what that pain point has been. Because if we look at the law of assumption, like the most dominant thought and belief, that's where you're at. And when you're stuck in a pain point, or your most dominant belief is not the expansive version of you, unfortunately. You can be working with affirmations and working on, delivering an opportunity for them to share like what's possible, you know what I mean? But you need to focus on the yes, you can say the affirmations, you can go for it, but they're not going to do anything if you don't believe it and you don't start taking the initiative, I should say, if you're not taking the initiative towards that blessed up version of you. And so when you're focusing on the solution and the bigger picture, you're actually focusing on their blessed up version that they can become, but they need to take action. So my intention is to help you, or is to share with you, is to help them like get off the hamster wheel and have them stop feeling like they're broken, because that's not empowering anyone. And I want you to create, especially if you're someone in the service industry, coaching industry, what have you, help them create the new identity that they aren't broken, that they are healed, that they are whole, and they're enough. Because we need to stop repeating the beliefs and the affirmations and the thoughts that aren't in alignment with who they know they're here to be. The other piece I would really say that's important is the service is greater than selling. Like here I am on this podcast. I could literally be charging money for a workshop or teach this in a course, but I'm offering this to you for free. I want to be of service to my community. And this is why I always love doing the podcast. And this is why the podcast reached to number 22 on the charts of spirituality, with comments and responses of how saying the podcast has changed their lives. I'm not here to sell. I'm here to serve. And I want you to recognize that serving is better than selling too, because you cultivate a deeper level of respect from your audience, and they'll trust you. And then over time, they will invest in you if, you create something that will support them. But if we're going to be a sleazy salesman, those days like are done. People are way too woke and aware of like when you're trying to sell something versus when you're trying to be of service. And when you're being of service, you're leading with your heart and you're not leading from a space of scarcity. And that's the big piece we need to recognize. If you are selling versus you serving to them, you're not leading with your heart, you're leading with your ego, and you're leading from the space of fear. And those expressions or those experiences can be felt. And people don't want to support that. They want to have these conversations. Like if you're creating a podcast, for instance, that's impacting them, they want to share that with their friends. They want to talk about it. They want to reflect on it. And if you're making them feel good, like they'll come back and hang out more because they're seeing that like you actually care. And these are the things that I think are going to be the biggest things that we're going to recognize more in the upcoming years and this is the other piece that I want to say, is that not only is service better than selling, but collaboration is the new competition. So if I'm, for instance, like having a guest on here and we can collaborate and share content and, you know, my audience can be exposed to my audience can be exposed to my guest and my guest's audience can be exposed to me, or collaboration of like, if I'm going to invest in someone who, you know, can help me out, or I'm learned like a service and they have something that they're like I said before, a better zone of genius or something that they're a couple steps ahead of me, like I can collaborate with them and share with me. So for instance, right before I recorded this, I was meeting with a potential new VA, and I was talking with them about things that were like a broken link on her website. And that to me was just like a collaborative piece rather than competition. And these are the things that feel good and they're from the heart. And when you're leading from that space, like it's in a way like a space of good karma and you're only going to receive more. But if you're constantly in the space of competition, you're in a space of scarcity and a limiting belief, and that's going to, one, drain your energy, two, be felt by your audience, and three, will keep you stuck in the consciousness traps and loops. And those days can be over when you say they're over. Like I shared in a couple episodes before, like about, you know, the challenges are over when you say they're over. Like, yes, it's about you changing your patterns and your ways of being, but it's up to you to take that initiative and to be aware of your choices in that sense. And I think that's the other piece. It's like the awareness of like, let's collaborate versus compete. And from that space, let's see how we grow, and not just our audience or profits, whatever, but like we grow as individuals. And I think that's the most important piece right there. And just like to wrap this all up, because this just really can't be expressed enough. I already mentioned it before, but your business is an extension of you. So you need to make sure you're honoring your energy, have your systems in order, have your boundaries in order, work with a calendar. I'm going to be creating a YouTube video coming up, sharing with you my calendar. If you haven't already, you can download Astro Medicine, which is a freebie calendar that I created that is going to have all the astrological planetary energies. And then if you want to dive in deeper to learn more on how you can implement it, you can invest in Planning with Purpose, which is a $39 workshop that will help you better understand the astro energy of the day, also the energy of the planets, and just the overall vibes that are going on, because I just want you to be strategic with your planning. I want you to be strategic with how you show up. I want you to have those boundaries, know when to take care of yourself, learn to say no. This business is highlighting your strength. This business is highlighting your wisdom. This business is unleashing who you are at the core. So I invite you to release any grudges. I invite you to release those limiting beliefs and those thoughts and those insecurities and doubts once and for all. Because, you know, what a blessing it is that we live in a time where technology can allow us to connect with people around the world and be of service and do things that feel expansive and alignment from the comfort of our own home now. I mean, come on, what a gift. So you have the opportunity to make the most of it. If you need support with your market strategy or your business, again, I have the doors open right now for Brand Ascension. They'll only be open for a limited time, where you can get 2 one-on-one calls with me, plus up to an hour of Voxer support throughout the month. But this is going to be an experience where you can, and I would suggest do it now so that we can hone in for your strategy for 2023. And there's different packages there as well. There's the bronze, the gold, and the diamond package. Even if you want to just invest in a one-time 90-minute call, you can do that as well. But I'm so excited to be helping you, again, create smarter and not harder, but more so I'm excited to be helping you unleash your medicine. And more than that, I'm excited to be helping you activate your legacy. And again, this is a huge piece of what my focus is here with the podcast, where I'm offering free coaching essentially, and free guidance and free trainings here. So if this episode supported you, please leave a rating and review over on iTunes. I want to get the podcast, I want to get this medicine back out. If you're watching on YouTube, click the subscribe button, give a thumbs up, leave a comment. I'm here for you guys. And if you want me to continue to share free trainings and free wisdom, these little action steps allow me to keep moving forward and to keep supporting you guys. And again, I'm just so excited to be creating content. I'm so excited to be creating information and trainings and information, because I want you to be present for yourself. I want you to be present for your loved ones. I want you to be present for your clients, and I want you to make the most of your life, because I can tell you, after 14 plus seizures and being in the hospital for 2 years, like, this life is a gift, and it's up to us to make the most of it. And you have the opportunity to do that. The only person that's getting in the way of you accomplishing that or realizing that or actualizing that is you. So get out of your way, take the leap, invest in yourself, reach out for help, and become the best version of you, because essentially the world is ready for your medicine. Thank you again so much for tuning in, and I'll be seeing you and hearing from you and all the things next week. Take care. Satnam.